MEC, thank you so much for taking your time to join me this morning. Welcome and good morning.
Yes, good morning. And how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine too.
All right, MEC, let's get right into it. Matric examinations start in less than 2 weeks. How are the preparations going so far? And do you have confidence in the matriculants?
We have gone a bit far because we've prepared ourselves for the rest of the year. We have established the examination centers by now, and also we have appointed the markers via the DPE. We have also ensured that the centers that are preparing the learners in the province are on the final stage now of the last push program, which is meant to finalize the revision for all subjects and also ensure that the best teachers of the province use the facilities that we have to ensure that our learners are actually academically ready for the 2020 matriculation.
And MEC, what is the latest with the 55,000 tablets that were supposed to be given to matric learners? What happened and why have learners not received them?
We have delivered almost all the 55,000 tablets to all schools that has been designated to receive them. The only tablets that in our records have not been delivered are just 6 of them. And of course, with the technical fault on the basis that they were unable to access the information that must be deposited on them. So in essence, the 55,000 has been delivered by now. We just have a shortage that is as a result of the quintile 4 and 5, which was not part of the contract, by the way, but which we feel very strongly that there are learners from the disadvantaged communities which should have been taken care of by government. Leave out the issue that they are learning in well-established communities in the form of quintile 4 and 5. So in essence, we have delivered to the expected quintile 1, 2, and 3. And you remember that we are in court on the matter with SETA on the basis of the regulation that we should have bought the tablets via them in terms of Section 7, the regulation. But our argument is quite very strong, and that no. By the way, you as SETA indicated your inability to serve the people of the country, and therefore written 2 circulars, 2018 and 2019, that you are incapable of living to the mandate that you have been designated to do. So there is no circular afterwards that then indicated their readiness in ensuring that the ICT infrastructure in the country can be rolled by them. So we are looking forward to that particular battle in court. We are sitting today in court again on the basis of the interdict that they have given us. So we'll be sorting out that matter today.
Yeah. And MEC, what is the feedback you have been receiving in terms of the learners now using tablets?
The feedback is quite very positive, quite very scary in the form of the anxiety that it has created to the public, and quite a very positive one. And but what becomes strange for me as an MEC for education is one of the attitude and the articulation in the papers that SETA has written, that the learners of the Eastern Cape will be given an advantage against other learners of the country if that e-learning solution is allowed to proceed. Then the question is, the e-learning solution has been in the country for almost about 5 to 6 years now, started in Gauteng. So why this debate now, not then? And also you'll remember that the results of each and every province relies on the strategy of that province in ensuring that the learners get the necessary quality and the ability to move the country forward. So it's no neither here nor there whether the learners will get an advantage from the sitter's point of view. But from where I'm seated, it is in the best interest of the learners that they must access as much information as possible so that they can be equally to the task ahead of them as grade 12 of 2020.
Yeah. Now, MEC, there are reports that an education department official who was implicated in losing a batch of answer scripts during the 2018 Matric exams is now the head of exams in one of the districts. How true is this, and what is the reason behind this decision?
No, that's actually a falsified kind of information. The Amatole West, the district Amatole West, in 2018 has got an acting head of exams that comes from curriculum, not examinations, on the basis of his ability to turn the things around. Remember, by that time, Amatole West was one of the, in fact, was not one, was the worst performing district in the country. So we had to intervene at that level because it was below 40% at that time. Then we then appointed an acting head of examinations from curriculum, replacing the one that was there, the one that was implicated on the saga that we're talking about, and the one that the department has actually demoted now. And we have actually signed the verdict on the basis of the investigations that has actually happened. So we are quite very comfortable with the one that has is leading there as head of examinations, because is the one that has produced the 10% improvement of that district last year on 2019, which then puts Amatole West as the best improving district in the province. So we are quite comfortable with that particular exercise.
All right. Okay, MEC. And one clear-cut lesson from this pandemic is that despite embarking on an advocacy program to create awareness about COVID-19, infections continue to get out of hand in the Eastern Cape, resulting with a number of teachers and learners being infected. Tell us why the situation got out of hand in the Eastern Cape despite all these interventions by the provincial government.
The provincial government has actually made strides in ensuring that we developed a wall-to-wall kind of intervention for COVID-19 incidents across all sectors of the society. But we are continuously challenged by a discipline, if you like, and also some sort of lack of observations of the regulations. For example, if you look to the issue around the recent outbreak of the tertiary institutions, your Forte, your WUSU, and some of the TVET sectors around East London. So because of the partying that has happened over that particular weekend, and also the tournaments that continues to be a thorn in the flesh of government that the young people continue to enjoy. We have tried to do the advocacy, tried to engage them, and tried to sensitize them on the implications because the Department of Health can be overburdened by such kind of behavior if it is not arrested, and quite a problem as we are approaching the second wave of the COVID-19. We have put up in place across all the departments, in particular on education, because remember, we are writing examinations now that could have a dire effects if we can have learners that must be taken out of the exam rooms on the basis of the COVID-19. But however, we had got an outbreak in Bakersdorp 2 weeks back, which the department has handled quite very well and applied for those 3 that were affected by the COVID-19. Again, on the basis of an endless lack of regulation, observation by taverns in that particular township in Beckersdorp, which has got a dire effect in education, to be precise.
MEC, COVID is still around. What's the plan should any more learners get infected by the virus as the final matric exams begin?
We have got a plan that the DPE has actually outlined. We are assisted by the Department of Health in ensuring that we have got precautionary measures. When a learner has actually been infected, we will have to take it to the sick base and ensure that we take care of that, but equally find a way of isolating him or her whilst we continue with the examinations in a closely monitored kind of an environment, so that the learner does not find itself as a victim to that particular environment. What is key into that intervention strategy is to reduce the number of impact, because remember, if you can have as many people going to sick bays and many people getting into isolations, that could be a constraint in terms of the examination standards and also in terms of the examination regulations. So we do have a plan B, so that we have an anticipation, because we are operating on an environment that has not been there before, a new normal that requires a bit of strategic thinking from those that have been given authority to think on behalf of others. So we do have plan B as Department of Basic Education and also the Examinations Directorate, to ensure that any kind of disruption is avoided, at least to be at a minimum scale, wherein we can be able to contend with it and phase it out in the process.
All right. And Eastern Cape performed dismally when it came to matric results in the past 5 years. To remedy this, the situation, rather, you adopted the Education Transformation Plan. Has the transformation plan yielded any tangible results?
Yes, it has been. It has been in the past 3 years. You would remember, in the past 3 years, Eastern Cape has been one of the best improving provinces in the country, and consistently improving around 5.6, 5.7% for the past 3 years. Hence, we were recording as one of the most improved province last year, with a high number of bachelors and a high number of distinctions in the country. So when you speak about quality of the output, you are speaking us, in particular on mathematics and science in the country. So we are looking forward to continue to build from that momentum and ensure that we don't lose sight on the basis of the targets that we have put in place, and ensure that our learners are focused more than they have been before. The advantage we have this year, when we were making an analysis of the performance systems that we have, we picked up that this cohort of 2020 has got an edge of about 8% plus above the previous ones, meaning that they are more developed intellectually, these ones, than the previous ones. So which begins to tell you that there is no reason for us not to get that 5% that we have been getting for the past 3 years, which then gives us an indication that we can get that 80% that we have set for us, and even above for that matter.
Yeah, so you are confident that the 80% matric pass rate will happen while you are still in office?
We are going to get it. Between me and you, last week we were making the analysis for the trial examinations that are currently underway, and some of the subjects have already been marked, and I was interested on the business studies because business study was one of the killer subjects in the country, with a district, I've just forgotten the district that was topping in the country, but it didn't have 75% pass rate, even the one that was topping last year. Currently, we are at 90% on the business studies in one of the districts that has not been the best in the province, the Amatole East. So then indicates that we are likely to get quite a very interesting kind of results this year, especially on the basis of the e-learning solution that we have brought to the learners of the Eastern Cape, and also some trainings that have happened at the level of educators, the commitment that they have displayed the teachers of the Eastern Cape during the course of the academic year is quite excellent and superb.
Yeah. All right. And the Eastern Cape has set aside a budget of 700 million rand to deal with pit latrines. Has the money been put to good use? Have you managed to reduce the number of unviable schools in the province?
Yes, we are dealing with that, and precisely because our attitude is that the sooner we deal with the rationalization, alignment, and merger of schools as a province, the better for the output and the standard of education in the province, and as well in the country for that matter. Because unviable, small, dysfunctional schools are a threat in the context of quality public education. Because remember, you only get allocation of resources, including teachers, on the basis of the numbers of learners that you have. So once you have got less numbers of learners, you are automatically going to get less numbers of teachers and less resources. And therefore, our strategy is that let's build more bigger schools and reduce the number figuratively of schools in the province so that you can get as much resources as possible, utilize them optimally, get the necessary output that you want on the basis that you have been able to centralize resources and get to the targets that we have set for ourselves. So last month, we were signing off some of the schools that we think does not add value, and a one teacher school, for example. What are you going to do with a one teacher school? Because in essence, you are burying the kids of the African people alive. So you must take those schools out and relocate those kids to other schools, and those teachers to other schools, and other resources to other schools, so that our kids can get more attention and more resources and more of the dialectics that involves the content of education that is required by the citizens of the province.
Yeah, MEC, let's talk numbers in terms of the 700 million rand that had been set aside and how many schools have been improved within that budget allocated. Do you have numbers for me?
I don't have specific numbers, but I can assure you that we have exceeded 50% of the target that we got, despite the fact that we had a challenge of the lockdown during the course of the beginning of the year, which then puts the construction on hold. Because at that time, the Department of Water and Sanitation has actually approved 268 schools that must undergo that particular program, which then the Minister of Basic Education and the Minister for Water and Sanitation has actually resuscitated that program back again in the context of safe schools. So we are on the progress dealing with that in the context of stabilizing the infrastructure backlogs that we have in the province.
All right. And in December 2019, you announced a radical change of the curriculum in the Eastern Cape, which will see matriculants write the 2020 exams in isiXhosa and Sesotho. Has this been successfully implemented?
We have engaged the cabinet on education nationally, because remember, this is a project that you only get it in the Eastern Cape in the country. The issue of the language policy in relation to the mother tongue bilingual education. We have agreed with the minister that we are not going to proceed now using the language of the colonizers. It can't be right. We must get identity, and we must define the language as part of the tools to liberate the people of this country and the continent in general. We have been allowed to deal with the matter through the trial examinations, and quite very well, they've performed quite very well for the entire grade 12s of the Eastern Cape. We were thinking initially that we were going to use it for the kids that were doing mother tongue bilingual education since 2012. But out of the discussion with the minister, we then said, no, it will be fine if we give even opportunity to even others that might be interested. And quite surprisingly, even those that were doing English and Afrikaans, they wanted the second option of the African language paper, so that they can clarify some of the questions that they might be constrained in understanding them. So it has been successfully, precisely, and we are finalizing now the trial examinations. The minister has actually committed herself that for other provinces in the country, they will be starting it next year on grade 4. For other countries, it will be grade 4. But for Eastern Cape, it will be grade 12, because we've been dealing with it since 2012. It's not, yes. So I'm saying it's a project that has been embraced by the people of the country now. It's no longer an Eastern Cape issue.
And MEC, an Eastern Cape businessman is demanding 28 million rand in damages from the Eastern Cape Education Department after lost documents allegedly scuppered his 60 million rand tender bid. What is your reaction, and how's your department dealing with this?
We have actually received the documentation from the incumbent, the business person who claims that we should be paying him on the basis of the contract that he claims has got in 2009, if not, I'm not mistaken. But however, because we are government here, we must be quite a bit cute in terms of understanding issues, and also in terms of securing the people's purse. It can't be right for any entity of government that it can just pay on the basis of one's claim. No matter how one thinks that is legally, you can't pay a bill of 2009 or 2010 now in 2020. There is an investigation that has actually happened. And fortunately for us, we have been able to get the documentation that he claims we don't have it. We have instructed the legal team to go back to court with him so that that matter is given guidance in defense of the people's purse. For me, it is quite very strange that a business person, by the way, he has not done anything for the Department of Education. Let me be upfront on that one. So what is it that we must pay him for? Yes. So there is absolutely nothing that he has paid, absolutely nothing that he has done for the Department of Education. So we can't pay for services that have not been rendered. So hence I've then said he must be told that he must go to court, or alternatively take him to court, so that we settle that matter there and leave government with its own task ahead of it, with good governance, by the way.
All right. Thank you so much, MEC, for giving us your time to just answer a few questions from Inside Education.